I always talk about music being music medicine for the soul. So it's absolutely wonderful to see this massive interest in jazz being caused by the people actually making jazz today. Now we're talking a lot of avant-garde stuff, as you know, and you know I play it. And so jazzy hip hop and jazzy neo soul and neo jazz or new soul, perhaps merging the spoken word with the beautiful art form. But deliciously, we're also talking about bringing back the beauty of what I like to refer to as the Great American Songbook. So we're kind of talking, you know, your Rodgers and Hart, your Gershwin brothers, and it's music to my ears. And not just those guys. I am talking about your classic, what you would call your classic standards and ballads, made by our legends. And a lady who is absolutely making waves on the other side of the pond is Douyé. So think Sarah, Ella, and then infuse that with a little bit of the most delicious African grooves. And you have the lady Douyé. And she is with me now. Douyé, good morning and welcome to the show.
Good morning, and I'm so pleased to be here.
What's it like in sunny California then, apart from sunny?
Oh, it's so sunny today, and it's beautiful. I mean, it's gorgeous. This is the reason why I live in Southern California.
Ah,
It's such a beautiful place for me.
so the
Yes.
weather actually makes a difference to what your whole countenance, your whole being,
Oh,
your whole.
yeah. Big time. I live by the beach, and
Oh my word.
it's just lovely. It's just
Oh my word. You know, I'm putting down, when we put down this microphone, you know, I'm booking the flight and coming to your house. But before I do that, let's get serious and find out a little bit about you. It's not surprising that you enjoy beautiful weather because obviously you're Nigerian born. But the point of it
yes.
is, you are now making waves in the US of A and obviously elsewhere because I'm in the UK and I found you.
Yeah.
And so the obvious question is, how come? But I know that the answer has got an awful lot to do with your dad and your upbringing. So, born in Lagos, music
Mhm.
important to you from being a child, and your dad was a huge influence. Tell me more.
My dad, I don't want to be teary, but my dad was a beautiful man. He was a beautiful father. And as a woman, he gave me reason to appreciate men and to look at certain qualities, beautiful qualities that you can find in a good man. And as I was very, very close to my father, very, very close to him. And he was the one that brought all this music into my attention, you know. He would play music, most especially in during the weekends. He would make me sit with him for hours.
Were you enjoying it? Were you actually enjoying it at that time, Doy? Because it's really interesting. You know, my dad, I learnt my first jazz song, Nat King Cole.
Mhm.
Love is a many splendid thing. I was singing that
Oh,
at age 2. And I can still tell you what the lyrics are today. And you know, you're
oh,
talking about your dad, and forgive me, I didn't mean to evoke memories that would make
yeah.
you sad because what I hear, and hopefully you're gonna testify this, is I hear that spirit, I hear that soul in your first album. I
Yes,
hear it, Doye. That was for him, wasn't it?
yes, that was for him. And that's why I titled it Daddy Said So. Because Audrey, I couldn't tell you how many times he will sit with me and say, "You are a jazz singer. You are a jazz singer. And I want you to promise me you're going to do this." I was just a child. I didn't know what that about. And I'll say, okay. and he will come back and he will remind me of it. And honestly, I went on to start off doing R&B, well, jazzy R&B.
Oh,
And I'm telling you, by the time I finished my second album, it's almost like my dad's spirit was visiting me every day.
saying
Like,
what
where is that promise?
what do you think you're doing? Excuse me. It's so
It's that
interesting. It is
promise.
so interesting.
It got to a point I couldn't sleep. Like when I close my eyes, I see him. Where is that promise, Doye? Where is that promise? You know, you my daughter. Don't fail me. Where is that promise? And I'm like, what is this?
Let me ask you, is
And
there
I,
any more children in your family?
yes, but they all doing completely different stuff. You know, I
And
have a brother who
there
is
was no sort of
nothing,
why
no
is
one,
daddy
no
pushing
one did
Doye this
music.
way? What about me? I can do what about me? I can do
No,
the background vocals. Really? There was just you with the voice.
they can't even hold it a
Oh,
note.
don't say that. They're gonna watch
No,
this.
for real, they can't. It's not their forte at all, and they're not worried about it.
No, no,
And I
absolutely.
don't know. Even my dad couldn't sing. My mom didn't doesn't sing. I don't know where this came about. I don't. I really don't.
Maybe that was something from his spirit, you know. Maybe that was somebody. Did he ever say anything to you as to why? But I know he said that he wanted you to do it, and I kind of look at that as such a huge responsibility. But
It
you've kind
was
of flipped it
huge.
on its head. You flipped it on its head, and you've sort of gone, like you said, Daddy said so. Here you go.
They
And that
said
thing that
so.
you said about your dad taught you how to appreciate men in our
Mm,
climate, Doye, with all this stuff that we've had with Me Too and all the rest of it, and you know how women should be treated and what's happened now and
mm,
the emasculation of men and
mm.
now you know this kind of thing where we have to identify as she and she. I'm
Her.
Audrey and her. That is with no disrespect to anybody. I don't put that at
Oh,
the bottom of my thing because I'm Audrey and I'm me and I think it's fine for everybody to be who they are. You know,
yeah,
we
that's
have enough
sufficient.
labels. We have enough labels. I don't need to have another one that doesn't actually apply to me.
No,
So with your dad though, you know, forgive me. What I was trying to think of was, I know it's great and I know what it's led to, but did you never feel, oh my gosh, I wonder, this is too big?
you know, I think what happened
I'm talking about when you're in the reality of when you started singing and this is it, this is your transition. That's what I'm talking about that time.
exactly. It
Yeah.
was, he will play music like Frank Sinatra, and I'll sing along. And every time I sang, he would look at me like, huh, do it again. That's what he is. Sing it again. Let me play it again. Do it again, Doye. And I'll sing it like in a very nonchalant manner, but I was just being a child.
Really?
And he was like,
He heard something. He
you
heard
are a chosen.
something.
Yeah, he used to tell me, he said, you are a chosen one. I'm like, what is that? He said, you are chosen to do this. And I still didn't understand what he was saying. I honestly did not until I think it was about 7. I started to get it because I would listen to them. I used to listen to them hours, for many hours. And every time you played them, Sarah, Ella, Billy, Frank, those were the four
Frank.
tops.
I was going to say, do you do It Never Entered My Mind, by the way?
Oh
I
no,
love
Frank
Frank
was,
Sinatra's It Never
oh,
Entered My
Frank was his top, followed by between Sarah and Ella. He couldn't make a decision on those two. Anyway, but he would play them and I would just sing along, and he was like, wow, your tone, your sound, you know? And I didn't make anything of it until I became a woman. He used to tell me, he said, you cannot do this now. You just keep singing. By the time you get to a
Mind?
woman,
Yeah, you'll
you will
get
be
to
able to
do
do
it.
it. Yes. He
You've got
said,
to
but I
live
can
it.
tell the foundation is in there. It's in there.
Yeah. So
You
he's
know?
recognizing that you needed to live it and you needed to bring that maturity of living life.
Yes. Oh,
Not
yeah.
the
He
maturity of living
said,
life, but you needed to bring that experience of living life into your
exactly.
song, into your soul, isn't it?
Yeah. He said, jazz was life. He used to say that to me. He said, jazz was life. He said, jazz is life, Doye. And you cannot do the songs without living. I mean, you could do them correctly, but the depth is not in the sound, you know. And they said that's why you have to become a woman before you should do it.
It's so
He
interesting. You
used to
said a
tell me
couple of
that.
things. You said a couple of things there that I want to talk about. Both of them. First one is you said he said that you were the chosen one. And I have a thing, Doye, because as I say, as I was telling you before we actually started this interview, the thing that really saddens me is that we black people of the world, I'm talking about now, I'm not talking about me in
Mm,
England, you in the States, I mean of the world, how we don't claim jazz. I do not understand because of the magnificence of what it is. You've just called it life. I mean, it doesn't get any bigger than that, you know? But I'm
he used
talking
to
about,
say that.
the magnificence of what it is. These
Mm,
people, I am so proud of them. I am so delighted that they spent whatever it is and the reality of when they were making this music, 40s, 50s,
yes,
40s, 50s, it was hard.
30s. Yeah.
You know what happened with Billie Holiday, one of your idols,
Yes.
you
Yes.
know, and it's so interesting. So it's the chosen one thing. So your dad saying that you were the chosen one, and as I say, I have this big thing: is why don't more black people support jazz? And I always ask people this question. And I interviewed somebody called Munir Nasser. He's the son of Jamal Nasser, who was the
Okay.
bassist. You know who he was for Ahmed Jamal for many years.
Yeah,
Ahmed
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Jamal. And he said that the people who hear jazz, because I'm like, what is wrong? Why don't they hear what I can hear? He said, we're the chosen ones. And I thought,
No.
thank you. Okay, I'll take that. And what he also said that I think that you will subscribe to, Doye, is actually, Audrey, never mind the ones who aren't with you. Concentrate on the ones who are.
Oh,
Grow the
I'm
ones
with
who
you.
are.
Yeah.
And you know when something makes you take a step back and really consider, because I'm like, as I said to you, it's like, why don't we claim it? This is ours, blah, blah, blah. I'm so proud, I'm so proud. And it's like, okay, let's take that as a given. Now let's talk about the magnificence. And we can do that, and we can do that through you. So that's wonderful. So there were the two things that I wanted to come back to you and say, you know, you called it life, which as I say, it doesn't get any bigger than that. And your dad said that you were the chosen one. So it's almost in, I was talking about responsibility, but to me it sounds
Mhm.
like even that was a gift that has been
It
bestowed
was a
on you
gift.
from your
Yeah.
dad right through.
You know, yep. Even though I was afraid, at first I was like, I don't know if I can meet this responsibility. But something inside of me kept pushing me, to do it, to do it. Like I said, I'm doing R&B. I'm okay with it. And then, no, you gotta go this way. You gotta go.
Yeah.
And and finally I just succumbed. I'm like, okay, I give up. I'm gonna do it. And it's been lovely since then. My sound, my attitude, my living is all jazz.
Oh my
And
word.
it's always been
Do you know? I'm going to
you
send you when we finish this. I one of Nina Simone is one of my absolute. She for me. She's
favorites.
okay. And one of her quotes is about jazz being life, and
Mm.
I'm going to send it to you. It's exactly what you've just said. I'm going to send you the quote. What she basically said.
Oh,
Because you're saying exactly the same thing. Let's look at this album because we talked about the legends, and that leads me very nicely into asking you, how did you get my friend the Mr. Ron Carter, the Ron Carter? How did you get him?
oh,
And Kenny
and
Barron, it's Kenny Barron too,
and
isn't
Kenny Barron for
it? Excuse
for the
me.
album Daddy Said So. So
Yeah.
this is what happened. my dad really loved Miles Davis.
Me too.
And anyone that played with Miles Davis, he liked, and he liked Ron Carter. Um, and he liked Kenny Barron's playing.
Yeah.
And he had told me, he said, my daughter, when you get up there, up in the West, if this man is still living,
Okay.
please make a way um, to record with them
My word.
because they are the masters of the ground of jazz.
Can't get any better. Absolutely.
And
I
I was like, another responsibility is placing on me.
Go on. So how did you do it? What did you do?
so, so what I did was I did a simple demo of voice and piano. And I sent it to Kenny Barron's manager. I told her my story,
Okay.
and I told her this will be a blessing, not just to me, but
See
to
that?
my dad, if I can
Yeah.
um, record with Mr. Barron. And honestly, I was thinking, well, fingers crossed, let's see. And a few days later, she said, okay, I'm going to send it to Kenny, and it's up to him. If he likes it, then you're in. And I think about a week later, I received word from her that he says he loved my voice
Oh
and he
wow.
wanted to work with me. So I was just taken aback by that. I mean, I cried because I never thought it will come through. I think I was 7 years old when my dad told me that
Yeah.
when you become a woman, go find this man if they're still alive and find a way to record with them because they are the legends of this thing called jazz. I was surprised when he says, okay. He said, I like her voice. She's got a beautiful sound. I'll do it with her. So I went to the studio and I recorded with Mr. Kenny Barron and the band. And I knew he was close to Mr. Ron Carter. So I had a talk with him. I said, I would really love to record with Mr. Ron Carter. It's another legend that my dad was so in
Okay.
love with. He adored him. And he was like, okay, why don't I talk to him and see what comes out of that? And he spoke to Mr. Ron Carter. It took months because Ron Carter was um, touring then. I think it took about 5, 7 months,
Okay.
but he
Did you keep
finally,
reminding or did you just leave it as
well,
on request?
subtly,
Actually, yeah. Yeah.
yeah, maybe once every 6 weeks. And he said, well, he said he's going to look into it. It's touring. When he has the time, he's going to reach out if he likes it. And again, he liked it and he reached out, and that's how we
How
had
did
it,
you choose how did you choose that song? Was that again in tribute to your dad? Because I know that was your dad, one of your dad's
Well,
favorite songs, wasn't it?
no, his
Yeah.
favorite song of all time is Around Midnight.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, Around Midnight, and a few others, Green Dolphin Streets and all that. But I didn't know, for some reason, that song came to me and it just felt right because it had so much meaning and depth to it. And Ron Carter is a legend. He's been in this business forever. And I felt with the wisdom that comes out of that song, Nature Boy, I think he will do justice to it. And that's how I presented it to him. And he said he liked that choice. And so I went to New York to record with him. Um, he told me the studio he would like to record. And it just happened to be that it's the studio that I chosen, to record. And so we went in. It was beautiful, just beautiful. And ever since then, it's just been lovely with him. I really, really adore him and I appreciate him.
Well, I adore
So,
him and appreciate him too. Right, more business. Let's talk about you because we've got to get into the Latin side, if you like, of Doye, because it wasn't enough to go down the classics and the standards and all of that stuff. Which, incidentally, I must say it's a beautiful album, and people do go check it
mm,
out. Um, for the simple reason, I think, what I always say is all you need to do is listen,
mm,
listen. And the beauty of jazz, and I'm hearing it in your songs too, in terms of arrangements and also in terms of how your different approaches to the songs, is you are kind of evolving the songs
mm.
into Doye. It's not Doye stands there doing Ella Fitzgerald or Doye
No,
doing Sarah Vaughan. This is you. This
yes.
is so strong you, your personality. Um, so tell me, how did you jump from the classics into the bossa nova groove?
I've always liked Bossa Nova, especially listening to Frank Sinatra's version of it. I was like, wow, how cool. That is like the way he did it was just outstanding. And when I listen to Bossa Nova, I resort to him. So I felt, well, it wouldn't be a bad idea, to take a crack at it, just to expand my horizon.
Take a crack at it. Go on,
Yeah.
Doye. Go on. Okay.
Just to expand my horizon. And so I was trying to relate it with the African sound.
Yeah,
I just
yeah,
didn't want to do it like a straight on way of doing bossa nova.
yeah.
And so that's what I did with that album. I tried to bring in African elements to the sound of bossa, you know, just to make it different, you know. But, just like every other standards, the songs have been done too many times. And as we speak, someone is recording them. And for me, I like I like to be different. I don't even try. It is my style,
Yeah, it's what
I
happens
just
when you open your
it's
mouth.
just what
Yeah,
comes out of me. Yes,
yes.
And so I just didn't want to do another basic bossa nova, and that's why I added some little African spice to it.
My favorite is water to drink. I'm not even going to try the pronunciation. I adore that track.
Quachi
Obviously,
bebe.
Shabi. I always say, Agua, you go on, you do it for me first, and then I'll repeat it.
Quachi bebe. Yeah, aquaji bebe. Aquaji bebe. Caramba.
That is gorgeous.
Yeah, you could tell the African sound that I added to that one. Yeah, and the attitude, of course.
It's off the scale and it's lovely. You were talking about, I described it as infusing the African spice. You're calling it bringing a bit of you yourself. But you've done some arranging on this album as well, haven't you? You're not just
Oh
a singer,
yeah,
you've done some arranging too
yeah.
on the
Well,
album.
my new album,
Yeah.
the Golden Shekere, I did quite a number of arrangements. I co-arranged with some of the musicians because I had a vision for this album, and I've never seen an album like this in the jazz world. And so I needed to be able to know what I'm doing.
Please explain
I
that a
just
little
didn't
bit
want to.
more. I know what it is, but please explain that a little bit more for me. So you say you've never seen an album like it. So how come so?
I don't know. I looked through the entire, I don't know, streaming out there, and I couldn't find an album that is jazz standard and done in with the influence of Africanism in it.
Yes, yes.
Never. And I tell you, I was trying to do another straight ahead jazz standard, straight ahead
Yeah,
jazz. Yes, I
yeah.
was trying to do that for my fifth album. But again, the voice of my
You had
father,
the calling. You had
man,
the
that man,
calling.
he came and he was like, because I remember think I was 8 years old. He told me, listen, Doye, you know, when you start doing this stuff, don't forget you're from a beautiful country that is so rich in African sounds and culture and music. It wouldn't be a bad idea, my daughter, to do at least one song, one album, just one album. That's all we're asking for.
Your
Just
dad,
one.
your dad sounds the most amazing person.
He was just too much. He was top. I said, really? And he said, yes. I said, okay, you know. He said, promise me you would do that. And I said, well, if you write it down on paper, then maybe I'll do it. And so we wrote a quote. And the quote is inside the album.
Oh, you see how
Quote is
beautiful
inside
that
the
is.
album.
You
He
see how
wrote the
beautiful
quote.
that is. It's like full circle, Doye, isn't it? It's
He wrote the quote.
beautiful.
I think I was 8 years old. They wrote it on paper, and I kept that paper. And I was trying to do just and straight on, but then that spirit came again and said, it wouldn't be a bad idea. That voice of his, it wouldn't be a bad idea, my daughter. This is the time. Maybe you can do a blend of African, your heritage sound with the Western world. I thought about it and I was like, that will be work. I don't know if I want to do this. But he kept coming. He kept coming. And I went online, just try to see if anyone else has done that. I couldn't find an album with that kind of idea. And I said, it would be great if we can really get this, done. And so I took it upon myself to
Here we go again.
meet with the musicians just for them to understand where I was coming from and to be able to have a vision that I have in my mind and my head and put it on disc.
Yeah.
A lot of work, a lot of work, you know. And these songs, Audrey, I don't even sing the songs in the sense that I have never done Cherokee before. Have never done Speak Low before. Never. I have definitely not done I've Got You Under My Skin. Never. I mean, I sing them when I'm around the house, but I've never like really sat down to say, yeah, I'm gonna do this song in performance. Never. Except the very thought of you. I think I've done that a couple of times when I perform. So I was like, this songs kept coming to me, kept coming to me. You know, the first song that came to me was I've Got You Under My Skin. And I was like, oh no, I cannot do the song. I said, I don't know what else I can do that Frank Sinatra hasn't done to the song. And the song kept coming. Yes, you'll do me. Yes, this is the song you're going to start off with. And I sat down for a couple of weeks just pondering about it. I'm like, I don't know if I can do this song. And I remember my dad used to say something. When you want to resolve something, go to the source. Go to the origin, go to the source. And I'm like, go to the source. That kept coming to my mind. I'm like, who is the source of the song? And I thought about Cole Porter. My spirit was like, he wrote it, but it's not the source. Like, who could be the source? And it just flashed in my mind. Frank Sinatra. I froze.
You know something, it's so interesting, Doye, because I said to you there were a couple of things. One of the other things that I wanted to pick up with you, you talked about the songs being done so many times. And it's so interesting. When I was a child, I used to hate songs being done by other people. It's like, oh, they're covers, they're covers. But jazz, every song is in inverted commas a cover. But when I started to get into it and started to understand it, they're not covers, they're different interpretations because I look at these songs
Yes.
as conversations. It's a
Yes,
conversation between you singing and it hitting me and what happens in my ears and me being able to articulate what it does to me. That's what music is. It's not a
exactly.
one-way thing, it's a two-way thing. It's between you
It is.
singing it and me, my relationship or the listener's relationship, loving it. That's why I said it's about listen. So when I got into jazz and started to understand that actually it's not a cover, it's a reimagining or it's a reinterpretation or it's what they think that song is saying,
Mm-hmm.
actually, it's pretty cool. And what my job is to do is to find you what I believe is not necessarily the definitive version of that song, but certainly one that is saying something. And that, Doye, brings me on to the second point, because it's again this thing that you talked about. And again, all the way through this, it's the respect and there's the love of your dad that just shines through. And, I started on it and I kind of went off the point, but I was saying at this time, when we have all of the complexities that we have in terms of relationships between men and
Mm-hmm.
women and what's permissible and not, bearing in mind those days, the 50s, 40s, okay, you want to call it Stepford wives or whatever, but women had children and stayed at home and looked after the children, and men went to work. And culturally, the interesting thing is, Doye, in terms of you being African, the role of the woman is paramount. Yes, of course, the man is very, very important, but it's the
Yes.
role of the woman. And then you get into this, it takes a village to raise a child and blah, 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 blah. And,
Yes, yes, yes.
but culturally, there is so much that you must have coming not only from your dad, but from who and what you are. And I've forgotten to mention that you spent part of your life living in England as well, didn't you?
Yes,
So
yes.
you've got that too.
Oh
So what
yeah.
is it? Is it, when I'm talking about this complexity of relationships, when men used to open the doors for women, when men, took you out for a meal and paid perhaps, when
Yes, yes.
perhaps, this sounds very old-fashioned, but when women perhaps felt they were being treated like a lady, and
Mm-hmm.
and in terms of where we are, it's very difficult. You can't even pass a compliment to somebody without feeling that, have I overstepped the mark? I think one of the
Mm-hmm.
first things I said to you, Doye, is look how beautiful you are. You're
Oh,
beautiful. If I was,
you.
if I was a man, I couldn't say that to you. And I say why, but I do say that to men because what I'm
Yeah.
saying is pure. And I think what you're doing is pure. So am I
Oh,
right, Doye? Is that right? Is it
no, you
taking
are
a bit of
right.
your
You are
culture
right.
and the respect for men thing,
You are right.
dad and all of that?
I'm telling you, I do appreciate men, good men, you know, good men, with good qualities. I call them Mr. Fine Country. I do appreciate them. I do. I
Have you
really
got
do.
a
And
Mr.
I think
Have you got a Mr. Fine Country? I've not even asked you about your personal relationships. Do you have one?
I don't, we haven't dated in a while. I don't know. I've been so busy with my music, but I know eventually, he will walk my way. He
Absolutely.
will come my way.
I love that.
I'm not fretting. I'm not
Yeah.
fretting at all.
I love Mr. Fine Country. So what's Mr. Fine Country going to bring to Doye? Because I think you're doing pretty damn fine on your own. What's he gonna, you've got your house, you've got your gorgeous beach, you're making music, you're making waves. You know, Doye, making friends with people like Ron Carter and Kenny Barron,
Hmm.
we can't just glib over that. That is hugely
Yes.
significant. So because
Oh.
basically you are having endorsement from the
Hmm.
living legends and masters. That's where I place those guys.
Yes.
And they're
Yes.
endorsing you, Doye.
Oh.
I mean, wow.
I'm, I'm, I'm super grateful, Audrey. I'm super grateful. This is just me, some African girl from Nigeria. Yeah, and, this is huge. Apart from Fela Kuti and of course Sade, I don't know of another jazz musician that does like straight ahead doing jazz standards. Now they do have people that are doing African jazz,
Of course.
and I do appreciate them, but I'm talking of the Western jazz
Yeah.
styling. I don't see that. And so I feel very grateful. Sometimes I, not even sometimes, I always remind myself, what my dad used to say to me before he died. He said, "You're going to make it big, my child." He was very confident. "You're going to make it big. Do you know that?" I said, "Sure." Okay. He said, "When you get there, when you get to that point of your life, never ever forget, Doye, that you not only represent yourself, you represent a state, you represent a country, you represent a continent."
Wow.
And he used to end up by saying, "So respect yourself. So do right and do well.
Yeah.
Give it all your best at all times because
Yeah.
you're not only doing this for yourself, you're doing it for a state, which is Lagos. You're doing it for a country, which is Nigeria. You're doing it for an entire continent, you know. And so all of that is on your shoulders. I want you to know that." And I was just 5, 6, 7 years old, and he used to say this to me. And it's like, I want you to know that there's depth. You're carrying a depth, you know, and so you should always comport yourself in the best of the best ways.
Wow.
You know,
Wow.
always do what is top. He used to say that. Always do the top. You are supposed to do what is top, and so always do that. So I'm always thinking about those words when I do what I do, because he never lets me rest, even though he's been gone over 40 years. He never
Oh my
lets me rest.
word.
He's always on me, like a real father, but in a good way.
Yeah, I
He's
think
always
that.
like, "You're doing good." When I did release this latest album, I had a quiet time with myself. And it's almost like as I was talking to him, I said, "Wow, Dad, I couldn't have done this without you. This was unimaginable for me at first, but because of your wisdom and your encouragement, that's like 100 years ago. By the way, I still have that statement that you made. I said, this is the end product. It's given me the strength to do this, the wisdom, the intelligence, because it takes intelligence to do this." And I was just thanking him. You know, it's been lovely.
You're blessed. You're blessed, Doye, and you are blessing us with your music. You talked about this
Oh,
album being like nothing else. Give me your. It's unfair, isn't it? Because every single child is like your baby. It's like you've given birth to each and every one. But choose one for me. Choose one to take us out.
can't. I really. How do I do that?
Ah, well, I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, if I have to choose, and it's not necessarily because it's better, I think I would say I've got you under my skin.
Wow.
Um, I did I did the song twice in the album just to show that okay, I can do it this way and I can do it this way too. You know, one was fast and the other was slower. One was with a big band and the other was with a very small band.
Mm.
Just to tell the world that I do appreciate this music and I want to give it my best and I'm giving it my
Yeah.
best. But I do love every one of them. Like you said, they are all my babies. These are my children. I've just given birth. Still
Exactly.
recovering.
Exactly. It's huge.
You know, I like
Uh,
Speak Low too. I like Cherokee. I mean, I love all of them. I love the way it's turned out to be.
I like Cherokee. I like the start of it because it actually takes you by surprise. It's like, let's go. You're going at 100. Well, I say it's not 100 miles an hour, obviously. I'm not sort of suggesting it's too fast, folks. But it's like, bang, we are off. There is no
Yeah,
question about it. We're
we're
going.
going to
Here
Africa.
we go. and the
Yes.
band is like cooking on all burners. You
I
sound so
know.
tight together.
It's
And
so
also,
crazy.
like you're having a good time. You're
Yeah, a
enjoying
good
creating
time,
that
yeah, a
music.
constructive time. We had a good time doing this album, but we were conscious about everything. Even that intro, for Cherokee, that wasn't part of the um arrangement. I was in the studio with the band, and all of a sudden it just hit me.
Something came to you.
Yeah, something came to me, and I remember I was in the control room, and I opened the mic and I said, "Everyone stop, please." And they stopped. And that intro came to me. Dun, 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 dun. And I just sang it the way I was singing it. And they were like, oh. And I pointed to the Nigerian percussionist. I said, play that. And he
Okay.
played that. And that's
Because he
how
got
that
because he
intro
got
came
you understood
about.
it. Because he got the groove. And I mean, it's about getting
Yeah,
that right groove, isn't it? That
yeah,
sound.
that sound,
Yeah.
and to introduce the world with this album with a distinctive instrument that came from Nigeria, which is the talking drum. I felt, wow, this is monumental for me. And it just came. It just came. And things like that happen a lot with me. It just came to me, and the entire rhythm came, and I just sang it, and he got it. And that's how we got that.
It's what is so beautiful is that the merging of the cultures is
Mm,
effortless. And you have
mm.
spoken about your album and your dad, and all the way through, Doye, all the way through, there is no question that you're an African lady. It's just
Oh,
gorgeous. I didn't need to ask you, you know, my program is all about telling it as it is. And my program is all about raising the profile of people like you and
mm,
saying, this is great. This is me presenting you with the best of what we have.
I'm
Listen.
so grateful.
But, it's kind of, I'm a black woman, so I
Oh,
can't help but bring of myself to what I'm doing. And as I say, I've not had to ask you a question about culture. I've not had to ask you a question about Africa. It's integral. It's part and parcel. It's like running through the vein.
yeah, yeah,
Every
yeah.
single answer. I'm telling you, you'll be surprised when you listen back, possibly, because I only
Mm.
asked you once. I made a specific reference to Africa, and obviously we talked about your dad, but it comes through, and it comes through
It
effortlessly
comes through,
because it
yes.
is effortless. And we started off talking about Sarah, Billy, Ella, and Frank Sinatra, Master, Jack Jones, another one. And you know why? Who we've just lost, Tony Bennett.
Yes,
Excuse
Tony
me, these
Bennett.
people, it's exquisite. And
Yes,
it's not only just about their singing, it's about their phrasing, it's about their articulation. You hear every single
yes.
word that is being,
Timing,
and it is
attitude,
timing,
yes,
and it's about
yes.
the attitude, it's about the whole thing.
Presentation,
But
yes.
interestingly, you don't see them going when
No.
you watch Ella or Sarah or any of them hit that note. And Aretha Franklin's the same. Patti LaBelle a bit,
Mm,
but Patti LaBelle likes to go off of. I love Patti. Uh, Aretha was exactly the same. It could be at
mm,
10 decibels or 100 decibels. Their face just went ah because they had the power to bring that
mhm,
ah. Like they
mhm,
were singing it here like this, and they would sing it, and it would be huge. And listening to them live and listening to, as I say, that kind of effortless presentation, you've captured it, Doya. You really have. It's beautiful.
grateful.
So thank you so much.
I'm grateful. I'm super grateful. I am grateful. And I'm not saying that just to put face, but I am truly grateful. I'm always reminded by my dad where I came from, And, as you may know, Nigeria, we are cultured people, and I was raised culturally in a very beautiful way. So I take that along with me in my living, and I think it's presenting itself, in my work, in my integrity, in my living, in my doing.
Gosh, another word that you've used there, integrity in this world of 60,000 live streams per day. Integrity for an awful lot of musicians seems to be a word or a thing of the past. I can't let you go without asking you about your hats. What's all this about your hats?
Love hats. I do. It's part of my ensemble now when I perform, I like, you know, I tell you, Audrey, it's a good thing as an artist your um to have your brand and know
Your
your
personal
brand.
styling, yes.
Yeah, and know your styling. You know, from childhood I used to wear a hat and I used to love the way the women dressed in the 30s and the 40s and the 50s and I'm like, that is my look right there. It just suits my attitude. It suits my style. It suits everything that I do. And so, I mean, I collect hats. I do have tons and tons and tons and tons of them. Oh God, it's crazy.
What
You
what
know,
what an absolute pleasure. You say it's your styling, and it is your styling, and I would add to that, Doya, yes, it is, but it's with an African twist. The
it
photography is
is.
stunning. So I'm going to give praise to the photography, praise to the
Oh,
presentation, and most importantly, praise to the content. And thank you so much
oh,
for blessing
oh,
us
thank you for having me.
with
It's been quite a pleasure.
real songs by a real singer of today.
I'm super grateful. I am grateful, and I just pray to God to continue to retain my sound in all I do musically. It's sometimes I listen to my work and I'm like, oh, okay.
Okay. I'm really interested to see what's next. And I am going to let you go, Doye, but you did talk about Afrobeat, and obviously Afrobeat is kind of taking over the world.
It
And
is.
it's quite interesting. Well, taking over the world, but you know what I mean in terms of music.
It
And
is. It is.
is it? Would we ever see Doye going down, doing a collaboration, perhaps with Burna Boy or something, or doing something?
It's possible. I can
I mean,
see
do you,
him
are you
loving
fe-
my
but
work.
do you feel it though? Do you feel it? Is that kind of what you're feeling, or are you more kind of feeling, nah, actually, let me keep in the groove of
No,
that.
no. As long as it's beautiful music, I'm open to it.
Open.
And I can see him appreciating my work and saying, wow, yes, let's do something. I as long as it's good music, you know, definitely with jazz sound to it, I will do it. And I can see Bonaboy
Yeah,
liking my work and appreciating uh, not just my work, but the fact that I'm from Nigeria,
yeah,
like him. I think he would really appreciate that. And the fact that I do quality work, I think he will also appreciate that. And I can see him having a collaboration with Doye. I can see that definitely, in the future. So we'll see what life brings. On that term, we'll see what life brings.
do you know Dele Sissimi?
I think I do. I think it's based in England.
He's based in England. Check him out. He does
Yes.
some nice work, and
Yeah,
he
he
does some
does.
collaborations with
Yes.
some
Yes.
with a
He does
Afro thing.
jazz with Afro beats to
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
he does a thing with Cuban music as well, which so it's like they've got a thing
Oh,
together, Cube Afro, which is sizzling. But the thing
yeah,
is, oh yeah,
yeah.
what we've had from you is we've had standards, we've had the Bossa Nova, and we've now got an interesting take on this new album. I cannot wait to see what Doye gives us next, and I'm sure whatever
Well,
whatever it's going to be
it's
something
gonna be a bang.
it's going to be a bang, and it's going to be something that absolutely reflects that joy and sunshine that is just coming from you. It's just beautiful.
It's
And
so amazing. People follow me now. just to see what I will do. Like they've said it to me. I've got loads of email people saying, "Wow, we can't wait to see what you come up with
What are you
next."
gonna do
I
next?
don't know. I'm grateful. I think it's because I I relate with the music from a spiritual perspective. I just don't do this because I want to do it, you know. I do it because I have respect and appreciation for the music. And it comes from a very, very in-depth spiritual perspective for me. You know, I try my very best to be chosen by the song, not me choosing the song, and with that, it allows me to be authentic with the song, all the songs. So, you know,
There you go again, authenticity. And you're a lady in jazz, and that's a bit of a phenomenon, kind of making waves anyway. How do you feel about that? With all this thing that you've got with your love for men and respect for men, and
I'm, I'm just a beautiful person. That comes off, in life doing what I do, which with my music, I want to believe I'm touching the world in the right way. And that is just sufficient for me. That's sufficient for me. You know, I'm super grateful, Audrey. I don't know how else to say it. My belly is filled up with thanks
I'm glad
and
you're
happiness and
I'm
gratitude.
I'm glad your belly's fun, but I am going to remind you. I'm going to end this with me reminding you of something that your dad said. It takes a lot to make a lot, didn't he?
Yes, it takes a lot to make it.
So
You
come on.
know that.
I
He
know all about you.
that. He will look at me dead in the eye and he says, "It takes a lot to be a lot. It takes a lot to make a lot. So always give your best, Douyé. Always give your best." And he always used to remind me, "Don't forget you are Douyé. There is meaning to your name, Douyé." And I'm like, "Oh my God, my
And the
dad."
meaning is, and the meaning is,
The meaning, Douyé is a very powerful name, actually. It's from is an indigenous name from Nigeria, and it means whatever I want, I will get.
oh my goodness.
It means whatever you wish to have, that is what will be presented to you. Your wish is what you will get. That's the meaning of Doye.
I mean, again, it's huge. I mean, your dad has given you such a blessing, but it is so huge. And you're not only living up to it, Doye, you're living it. And as I say, it's effortless. And to me, that is just the perfect end to the perfect chat. Thank you so, so much for your time. I wish you the
Thank
very,
you,
very
my
best
dear.
of luck.
Oh, thank you. When I come to England, I'm gonna come visit you. I should be coming next year,
Oh, good. Well, Mike, you're very
not this
welcome at
year.
my house, right? My
Yes,
house.
and we're gonna eat some fufu, maybe.
Well, my daughter, trust me, she'll be the one who'll be sorting that out. I just want to see you and to give you a hug. It would be wonderful, but I'm sending you a virtual hug. You're my
Oh,
first lady in jazz, big lady in
appreciate
jazz.
you.
So thank you so, so much.
Thank you so much, my dear. Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
And your team as well for their support. It's been brilliant, an
Oh,
absolute pleasure. So thank you.
yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
There you go. That's the way that jazz is being made these days, and how wonderful it's being delivered at the hands of a lady, and not just any lady, the Lady Doye, the lady that is tearing up the jazz charts on both sides of the pond. So do go and check her out. She's got 5 albums. Definitely, definitely worth a listen. And talking about listening now to the important bit, which of course is you. Thank you very much for taking the time to listen. And don't forget, what you need to do now is press that button and subscribe. And then, of course, you need to run, go tell your friends. Don't keep it to yourself. This is a secret that is too good to keep to yourself. So, That's it. Audrey Hall's Undisputed Music Legends, delivered to you, giving props to the very best of the stuff that actually helps make the soundtrack of our lives. I mean, who needs any better than that? Music medicine for the soul. Subscribe.